Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar about tag from template in Naviate Structure. So tag from template is about placing tags in a smarter way directly in Revit, so you don't have to move the tags around as much as you have to do when you tag in Revit itself, or if you tag with some of our other tools that we have for tagging. So we try to make the tagging experience smoother and faster. And with me today to present this, I have Lawrence. He's a principal consultant for Structure. And my name is Hans. I'm the product manager for Naviate Structure. And if you have any questions or so, you can just write them in the chat and we'll try to answer them as we go along. So today we're going to go through the template selection. So how do you select a template for the tags? And then Lawrence is going to show this and also how we are able to tag the objects in the views. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the template configuration. So how you can configure the template for yourself and be able to have your own company way of tagging in the templates and use that. And then I'm also going to do a quick update on element detailing. Okay, Lawrence, do you want to start showing the template selection?
Certainly, yeah. Okay, so I'll just start to share my screen. Okay. So I have a project open. I'll just show you what this looks like in 3D so you can see the scope of the project. It's a bit of a mixture of things here. You can see that we have steel frames and concrete frame in here. So if I start off perhaps with this view here, so you can see I'm in a drawing sheet. We don't have to be, but I've chosen to be in a sheet here. And if I zoom up on the view, you can see that we have the steelwork section. Now I'm going to activate the view, and before we use our new tag from template tool, let's see how Revit would actually tag this view. So here I've just got tag or not tag. This is the standard Revit tool in here. We can go down to our structural framing over here, and if I click OK, we'll see how Revit then handles this tagging. And you can see it's not very good. You'll notice here there's lots of collisions and clashes. Where we have different depths of steel beams and so forth, it's not really worked that well at all. So let's now have a look at how we would first choose a template and then how we would use that to tag this view. So I'll select the Naviate Structure tab, and you can see we have our Annotate panel. Now, in the settings here, when I click this, you'll see that it opens up the settings dialog. So here we've had tag from template settings. And we have two areas over here. We have cloud and local. Now, we have cloud templates. I'm just going to show you the local ones for in a minute. So these are the ones that I've configured for my own personal use. And of course, this is one of the big advantages of this tool. So notice here, I've selected my template. I'll click OK, and now we'll run the tool. And what's quite nice with this is we'll get us a status bar here, actually showing us the progress of the tool, but you'll see that it then starts to add the tags live on screen, and you can see the progress directly in Canvas, which is really quite useful. So you'll notice the tags going in at the minute are offset to the left-hand side because of the grid that's running through the steelwork. The rest of them are being placed below the steelwork here, so they don't clash with the slab. And you can see they're being offset with different depths of steelwork in there. So we'll just let this complete, and you'll see once it is complete, we'll get a report. So what the report does is it's looking for any elements that it couldn't actually tag. And I can see here that there's a lot of cell beams that haven't been tagged here, but I didn't have a template for that, so that's expected. But if there were any elements that couldn't be tagged, it would actually show me those as well, which is quite useful. Now, what's good with this is if I now look at this little view inside here, this is a call out of this area over here. And if I run the tool again on here, it doesn't matter about the scale of the view. It will still place them out in exactly the same location as I would want in my template. So again, here we get a nice little report. We can now see the progress and how that's been tagged in here. And of course, as I've said, it's mirrored exactly what we tagged over here, but at a slightly different scale. So let's move into another example now. So we're going to go into our pole cap general arrangement drawing. And once again, you can see that I've got quite a few different foundations in here. This is at 1 to 100. So first thing we'll do is we'll activate this. And what I'd like to do is create a legend and a key first. So some of you may have used this tool already. I'm sure everyone's used color elements, so I hope you have. But what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to utilize the same settings of our foundation type marks inside here. And you can see now it's colored up all the foundations based on their type mark. So what I'd like to now do here is add those view filters so that they are permanently created within the view. And now we can create our color field legend first in there. So we'll go ahead and generate that. Okay, there's our nice legend, and then we'll position that somewhere on the screen where we want. And now we'll run our tag from template tool. So once again, I'll need to go into the tag from template settings. Again, I'm only looking at my local templates in here, but if I wanted to use the cloud ones, I could do that also. So you'll notice here I have my pole cap plane template, so I've now selected that. Now this one will take a little bit longer because there's quite a few elements here. And I've also got 6 options in the template, which I will show you in due course. So I have my primary option, secondary, and I've got 6 other different options based on how I might like to actually try and tag up these piles. Now I've deliberately made the tags quite large as well. So the tag is putting off the type mark of the pile, but also referencing the physical size of the pile as well. So it will, sorry, I'm saying the pile cap, and it will actually be looking at the length, width, and depth of all of the pile caps. And now we can see that it's analysed the view. And again, if you look closely on screen, you can see Naviate starting to place out all of these tags. And of course, you'll see that it's not putting them over grid lines. It's not putting them over other tags and other pile caps. It's doing a really good job of making sure that everything is readable and sensible. And what I really like about this tool is the fact that you can build up your company templates. So if you like to tag these in a specific way, you might decide that you want the tag in the top right or the bottom left by default. You can actually have all your different options set up within that template. And that's exactly what Tag from Template will use when we run the tool. So you can see we're almost done. It's just now going to go around and do the 3-pole caps. These are quite interesting use cases because obviously they're rotated, and you'll see that again Naviate understands that, and it works absolutely fine with rotated elements. Okay, so it's just working its way around now. You can see it will analyze all of the various different areas and place out all those. And any caps that it couldn't tag, you'll see that it will then give me a report on that as well. Yeah, and there's my report. Okay. So there's that use case there. And finally, what we'll do is we'll just take a little look at placing multiple tags. So in here, you can see that I've got steel framing layout. This is just in a coarse level of detail. I've got some core walls in here and obviously columns supporting the steelwork. We'll now allow Naviate with the tag from template to actually tag the columns and the framing plan all in one go. So we can select as many of these as we want. And again, we can run the tool. So this time, of course, it's going to go around and do all of the framing and all of the columns. Now, as it does this, notice in the top left-hand corner and also on the left-hand side of the project here, in between grids D and E, we have all of these trimmer beams. And of course, Revit would just ignore those and all the tags will clash, okay? Because Revit, by default, will put the tag in the center of the element. But you'll see Naviate will then use a linear placement and a tolerance to allow that tag to move up and down or left and right along the beam so it doesn't clash. So again, we'll just let this go through. It's quite interesting watching how Naviate places out these tags. Okay. And how it's doing it at the minute is it's actually doing it in the order of creation, which is the element ID. So that's if you're wondering how it does it, what order it does, that's how it actually works. And of course, now it will move into the column tags and start to place out all of those once it's done the primaries. And of course, the great thing with this is you don't have to invest all that time manually moving these tags, and it does take quite a while. You know, everyone says, "Oh, it's only 3 or 4 tags to move," but it's not. It's more than that. And what's also nice with this is it will tell you anything that it couldn't tag, so then you can address that yourself afterwards. And you'll see that it also collects the elements that haven't been tagged. We can then go ahead and address that as we see fit. Okay, so it's now just placing out column tags. You can see some of these going in. Okay, so it's almost there now. Okay. Right. Okay, I think we're pretty much there. It's now preparing a report. So again, here we can see that some of these positions haven't been found. Now, if I just show you how this would work, you can see I've been able to select all those elements. And because they're now selected, I could go ahead and isolate those elements like so. And again, I could run the tool again. So I could then say, right, well, okay, let's tag these now. Whilst there's nothing in the view, I could just use normal Revit to do this, or our tag template again. And it would go through and obviously then look at tagging all those elements out. Like I say, I'm not sure if I've actually got the cell beam template in. Don't think I have yet. I haven't, which is why I couldn't tag them anyway. But if I did, I would tag them in that view. And then, of course, I could just go back and reset. Now, before we finish up with this section, I just want to show you one of my templates. So if I go and open up a template that we've been working on, so let's open up my my foundation plane template inside here, just so you can see it. So we can download our cloud templates, and then we can adjust and move them around as we see fit. So if I open up this one in here, you can see that I have several alternative tags placed around. And how it works is if I pick this one here, you can see this is priority 1. If I go to this one over here, this is priority 2, priority 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So this is the template that I would like the Naviate tool to use to tag up the piles, and they're all pretty much the same. You can build up all your templates, store them away, and use them as you see fit. So that's what I wanted to show you on the use case of this. I shall now stop sharing and hand over to Hans.
Thank you, Lawrence. So I'm going to talk a bit about how to configure a template. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for users to configure their templates. So I just have a normal plan view here of pile, my pilings and structural foundations, and I want to tag all my piles, and I want to do it with a leader and a like this, a leader and a shoulder like this, and I want to add a different positions to them also. So to do this, I can place my family and a tag, and then I can copy it to a project that I want to save as a template tag. So here I have just a normal empty project, and I'm going to copy both the pile and the tag to that project. And when I've done that, I'm going to have the same tag, so tag pile mark. And if I want, I can also just maybe rename this. So it's tag pile, maybe template. Let's call it like that. And it's only the position that it takes from here. So it will take the template position. And the next bit is that I have to have these parameters Lawrence talked about. So I have to have the priority parameter and other parameters. And to be able to add them, you can go to Naviate Structure, and under Annotate, you can click on Settings. And here, as Lawrence talked about, you can download templates. You can see local templates, but you can also create shared parameters, and this will add shared parameters to the active project and all of the tag families in that project. So I only have this now. So if I run this, create shared parameters, it will open that family, create the shared parameters, and load it into the project again. Then I can close this. And if I go to annotate and tag by category again, and if I go into this in properties, I will see I have these data parameters now. And maybe we can start creating my first one. So I would like the first position of the tag to look like this. So this should be the default position when I tag with my template. And to make it the default position, NV priority for this should be 1. And I'm also going to rename my type to priority 1. Then I have the possibility to select or deselect NV tag rotation, and that is if you want the tag to rotate with your family or not. In my case, I do not want it to rotate. Then I can select if I want vector translation or linear translation. So in the case of my piles, I would like it to have a vector translation, so it will translate from the object and out like this in a vector. If I select linear, it will translate or try to move the tag along the object instead. But vector translation is good for me. And then we also have something called move tolerance. And this is how much we will move the tag if it's blocked by something else. So I'm going to say 2000 millimeters and then hit apply. So I can run the template like this, and it will only place this. And if it can't place it, it will try to move it in the vector. But I'm going to add a couple of more positions. So let's have one here also. This can be my priority 2. I have to remember to update this to priority 2. And then let's make 2 more. So this is priority 3 and priority 4. So now I have 4 types with 4 different positions and 4 different priorities. And of course, now I only added one family to this, which is my current pile, but you're free to add as many different objects as you want to this. So you can add walls, piles, foundations, columns, and so on, and tag them inside here. What you cannot do is that you can't have the same family multiple times. It can only be once in the tag from template. Otherwise, it will not work. Then I'm going to save this. So I'm going to save this as a project. Like that. I'm going to close it. I'm going to remove this. And now if I go to annotate again, tag from template settings, I can go in and if I'm on local here, I can go in and browse templates. And here I can find my tag template I created just now. I have to remember to select it, press OK. And now I'm going to run tag from template. And now it will try to set out my priority 1. If that doesn't work, it's going to go to priority 2, 3, and 4. And if no one of 1, 2, 3, and 4 works, it's going to try to move priority 1 first, then move priority 2, and so on. So this is my result from this. And it's when you're working with it and you're trying out different different tag placements, you can also always just go into the placement you had and do changes. So just to make, so just to see how this works. If I do like this instead, I'll say this, go back to my pile, select all of these, delete them and run it again. It will take the new tagging positions. So it's really fast, and you can also try yourself and try different variations quite quick and find the best way for your company to do this. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible because we know that there's a lot of different ways of doing it. And the placement of tags is really usually up to the company to decide. But we can also just mention that inside the tag from template settings, you can always also download a setting we already created. Then you can open that setting, go in and edit that setting and make it your own, which is also a way to do it. Okay, great. So that was our new feature tag from template. We hope you're going to save time with it, and we're super interested for feedback. So if you haven't tested already, go and test it. And if you have any questions or comments about it, you're free to write it. So I'm going to continue with just giving you some updates on our another feature that we've been working on for some time, and that is inside Naviate Structure also, and it's called element detailing. So element detailing will analyze, group, and number similar elements in your project. And the reason for this is to make it easy for you to understand which elements is the same in your complete model, and if something has changed, you can act on that. So it will also tell you everything that's changed. And here I have a small steel structure with prefabricated slabs on. So if I go into element detailing, we've now added a possibility to create drawings from all of the elements that's the same. So here I have two filters. So to be able to use element detailing, you first have to create standard Naviate filters with Naviate Accelerate and filter elements. You can also create them here. This is a shortcut to go there. Then you have to add them. So I've added my columns and framing settings here. And when you've done that, you can go in and configure how you want the data grid to look. So in this case, I've gone in here and I've configured, I've added type, and we count level and structural material. And I can also have one of these on compare if I want. So it will always compare the exact geometry. So everything in the filter will be compared to everything else inside the filter, and everything that has the same geometry will be in the same row and can be numbered the same then. And if you add compare to, for example, structural material, it will also take structural material inside of that comparison. And if there's different structural materials, it will not be on different rows then. And if I go to a row inside of this column filter I've added, I will also selected all of the elements that's inside of that filter. And if I do a change to one of the elements, so if I, for example, edit the base offset this element and analyze again, it will tell me that something has changed. So this was 4 before, now it's a new one. So I know and understand everything that's changed since I did the analyze before. So every time I analyze it, we will collect all of the data of the elements, and every time you analyze again, we'll compare that data with the current data you have in your model and tell you everything that's changed since last time. And here I can renumber them and save that again. I can also clear the warnings if I don't want to manage that now. And one thing that we're going to deliver now in the upcoming release of 25 and 26 is this drawing settings. So drawing settings is not in the current version. I have a beta version here. So this is for you to be able to create your drawing setups and create drawings from all of the elements you have in your filters and all of the rows. So if I go to drawing settings, I can go in there and I can configure how I want the drawing to be created, which kind of views I want to create. So for example, maybe I want to select, I want to create a left and front elevation and a 3D view. If I want, I can add a schedule or a schedule template, and I want to create it on a sheet, and I want to have multiple of my views on that sheet. And when I've done this setting, I can save this. For columns, and I can close this. And now if I want to create a drawing for example, all of my steel columns, I can go in here and I can select my drawing settings. So I'm going to use the column settings, and then I can create drawings of that element with create drawings. And it will create, yeah, and here I can go to that drawing also. And here I will have all of my created views. And I can, yeah, it's also, it will always use the settings in the section you used. So this section was 1 to 50. Maybe that's too small, so of course I can change that afterwards. We'll also always zoom in to the object, but if you want, you can go in and you can expand and see what's around this object instead, like this. And then you can continue annotate and work with that element. So it's a way to quickly create drawings of all of the elements you have inside element detailing. And you can also select multiple and use multiple the same settings and create them on all of them at the same time to create multiple drawings and multiple views of them. It's also worth noting that the views we create is always going to be just visible in detail level 1 to 1. So when we create these sections, they're going to be hide at scales coarser than 1 to 1. That's just because we don't want the sections to pop up on all of your drawings. So if you want the sections to be visible in some drawings, you can go in and do a setup for that, or you can change the highlight scales coarser than also to be able to see those settings. Let's go back to 50. And now you can see where we created these sections. And the sections will always be rotated to the element also, which is also highly valuable. So you don't have to rotate the sections yourself. It will be rotated after the column or beam. So that is some of the news we have inside element detailing also. Please give it a try and give us feedback what you think about it when it's released now in a couple of weeks. Okay, Lawrence, do we have any questions we need to still answer, or have we answered most of them?
So there's some questions about if a model is rotated. It's very difficult to tag those, and the tag placement doesn't work at all. So I've obviously answered that and said that even when our models are rotated, our tag and template will work. And as you demonstrated, Hans, you can decide whether you want your tag to be rotated with the object or whether you want it to stay the same.
Yes, that's correct. and please try it out. And if you have problems or if you have ideas how to make it better, contact us and we'll look into it. But we do think it's quite a time saving to use it, and especially if you do a setup for your company, you can also have all of your company doing the same type of tags and the same type of placement of tags, which I think is really valuable.
Yeah, I've tried it a few times on quite a few different test projects as well, and it does work really, really well. And you can have obviously multiple templates depending on how you want it to look. So yeah, it works really well.
Okay, great. So if there's no more questions, I guess we'll end this event for today. Thank you for listening in, and please try it out. Bye.